Forex price signal produces trends only rarely, when there is a great imbalance between supply and demand. Most of the time the price retraces itself in a relatively narrow area of price. This observation was put in the mathematical language by Uruzd as following definition. A price XTT0 if HT recurrent whenever XTT0 is between the high and low of the bar in the timeframe T, then at least one of the previous or next H bars passes through XTT0. Proposition 1. If XTT at any time T relative to timeframe T, then almost surely, there exist positive integer H and K such that every price belonging to the set XTTK, XTT plus K, is HT recurrent. What do these statements mean? The definition means that the price is called recurrent on a given timescale if it retraces within that timescale, in the past or future. Retracing in the past is equivalent to saying that the price now is retracing a potential transient zone established before. The proposition implies that the price is almost everywhere, almost surely recurrent. It does that by construction. It says that given the price it is possible to find a large enough timescale H and a sufficiently small interval bound around the price so that every price within the interval is recurrent. In the recurrence-statistic indicator we use a simple corollary of the proposition 1 corollary 1. For a given positive integer price h, there exists a set of integers key onto set of times t relative to timeframe t for which the price xtt will not be ht recurrent, i.e. will be transient, in the interval xtk/2, xtt plus k/2. The corollary relies on the premise that we typically choose the value of the h, so if this choice of a finite, i.e. small, number h, we will surely find some Aristotle will not be returned to. The interval now means a different thing than in the original proposition. It is now the interval in which the price will not be returned to, so it is a transient interval. The recurrence-statistic indicator provides us with various statistical quantities, notably the frequency of true transient zones, no tree traced for a chosen h, their probability of resolution, i.e. turning a potential transient zone into a recurrent zone by price retrace within h bars, and the average width of the transient interval k. A simple way of using this indicator is to play with the numbers for h to find the frequency of true transient zones and more importantly to obtain the clearance retracing frequency as large as possible while still maintaining a reasonable timeframes for trading. The expectation is that the historical frequencies obtained from the data, when calculated over a large period of time, will change little for another period of time, so they can be used like probabilities. This approach is in the true spirit of the similarity thread. One searches for historically rare anomalies in the making, and then trades with the expectation that the anomaly will be resolved. With this brilliant contribution from Uruzd it is possible to have true high probability trades. The main input from recurrence statistic is that it quantifies the corresponding probabilities. Typical basic statistics output number of bars, total number of bars over which the statistics was calculated problem bars, number of true transient zones, we typically want as little as possible, while still having manageable trading times fully resolved bars, number of potentially transient areas that turned out to bear recurrent, frequency of true problem bars divided by number of bars. This quantity should be as little as possible, since in the simple strategy, one will not achieve take profit if the zone is not cleared. Frequency of possible problem bars, calculated as problem bars plus fully resolved bars, this sum divided by number of bars. This is an important quantity as it limits the number of potential trades based on the indicator. Clearly, we would prefer to have as many as possible of possible trades with most of them ending up in profit, so there is a compromise one needs to make with respect to trade frequency and probability of success. Probability of full resolving, calculated as frequency of possible problem bars minus the frequency of true problem bars, divided by frequency of possible problem bars. The most important quantity. This means exactly what it says. If you have a transient zone in the making, the left transient zone, this tells you the probability of it becoming recurrent. Again note that we use the relationship frequency, greater than probability. Frequency is something we calculate from the historical data. Probability is something that we imply for the future behavior. All these quantities are calculated separately for the fractal and the transient case. Fractal